David Mullings is an interesting young Jamaican entrepreneur who heads Random Media, a company involved in the digital distribution of Caribbean content. However, he's much more, as we hear from Tamara McHale in this week's edition of The Achievers.
The Achievers is brought to you by
RBC Royal Bank. Strength at work for you.
Welcome to another week of The Achievers. I am Tamara McHale. On this week's program, we feature David Mullings, co-founder of Random Media Limited Liability Company, and he'll be telling us his tremendous story. David, welcome to The Achievers.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
You are co-founder of Random Media and Kaizen Interactive. Tell us about the companies, how you got started.
Well, the Random Media one actually came out of a project in school. My brother and I were doing the MBA program at University of Miami back in 2001, and we were asked to come up with a project. And so we, because of our nature, he was into the whole car culture, and so he had a lowered Honda Civic, ribs, that kind of thing, and was into the tuner culture. And I had collected Hong Kong films ever since I was 15. I grew up in Jamaica. I used to see ads, now coming to State Theatre, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, but then it always said 21 and over. So I couldn't watch these movies. So as soon as I went to college in the States at 15, the first thing I did was started buying these movies that I could finally watch. And what had happened was that I realized that some of the movies I was buying off eBay directly from Hong Kong couldn't actually, some of them weren't so good, and I couldn't find reviews, so I didn't know what was good. So I decided, let me build my own website and review my own movies so I could help other people, and it was called myhongkongfilms.com. And we taught myself how to build a website. My brother and I went online, we bought books, taught ourselves how to use Adobe Photoshop, and we came up with a brilliant idea to create something called planethk.net, planethongkong.net. And what we would do is merge the film culture as well as the tuner culture, because that came from Japan. That's an Asian thing. So it was two Jamaican guys thinking they could get into this Asian culture type business, right? But we taught ourselves how to do a lot of stuff. When we presented the idea at school, somebody liked the idea and said, hey, sounds good, we should talk some more. Come back in a little bit when you fresh it out. Came to Jamaica, and that was around September, registered the company September 2001. Came to Jamaica in December for Christmas, and I was at the beach at Lime Key with the boyfriend of one of my cousins, Mark Gale. He's now married to her. And I told him what we were doing, and my brother and I used to also DJ. We had a little sound while we were in college to make some extra money. We'd play at, sophomore, all these different parties. And so what we decided, I'd done a little mix CD to help promote Planet HK in that market. Asians like reggae music. Yeah. So we did a mix CD, and we had some new rhythms on there. And so he was like, hey, you guys have these rhythms and to build websites. You should do a Jamaican website. And at that time, wadat.com was doing really well and so on. And I said, no, I don't want to do a Jamaican site because it would be a party site. My friend had started Cyber Jam, Party Inc. was there. So I didn't want to do a site like that. And he said, no, not a party site. What about, since you're doing video, you're doing all this music stuff and you're into videos, because I'd shot a little personal home movie during summer. Why don't you do a website and put the rhythms on there so sound people like me can download some, I can upload to you, we could share. And I was like, yeah, but then I worried about copyright, and that is always something that was always on my mind, especially because I'd done a business ethics class in the MBA program. And so he said, well, you love video, why not video? And then sat down and we said, wow, this is interesting. We spent 3 hours on Lime Key speaking, went home that night, went to Dad and said, hey, we're scrapping this idea, this is what we're going to do next, and we're going to basically create a Viacom, from a Caribbean culture Viacom, and drew some circles, and we had 5 years we wanted to focus on. And then I said, well, eventually, and I said, well, we need a 6th one. And Dad said, why? And I said, well, carbon is a stable atom. It has 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. I'll be nerdy. I have a bachelor's of science degree. I'm majored in biology, minored in religion and chemistry. And so I said, we want 6, we need to be stable. And Dad immediately said, why so random? And I was like, that's the name, Random Media.
David Mullings, quite a successful entrepreneur and making tremendous contribution to the Jamaican diaspora in the United States. Tune in next week for part 2 of his tremendous story.
This young Jamaican has been making a name for himself in the diaspora. Part 2 of the David Mullings story follows in The Achievers.
The Achievers is brought to you by
RBC Royal Bank. Strength at work for you.
Welcome to another week of The Achievers. I am Tamara McHale. This week we feature part 2 of the David Mullings story and how his business contributions have been going. You are co-founder of Random Media and Kaizen Interactive. Tell us about the companies, how you got started.
First thing we're going to do is launch a website. The website would be the hub of everything, and anything else would link from that. We'd link with a radio station, a magazine, a clothing line, and so on. But the hub would be the website. And so we decided we needed to name a website that would become the equivalent of a Caribbean MTV. We would put Jamaican videos and eventually Caribbean videos on the web, music videos, interviews, and so on. And so, you know, I asked Dad, we needed to get a name. And so Dad was like, well, you know, whenever you go to the party, you know, you're the Realvibes, you know. And I was like, whoa. So we went online and we bought realvibes.net at that time. And so that became the name of the website, Realvibes. And Random Media owned the Realvibes brand, and we launched a site. First of all, the name is called Kaizen, and the reason is Kaizen. If you're some business people understand it. It means continuous improvement. It's a Japanese word. And Kaizen itself is a mantra if you know about Six Sigma. And the Six Sigma program, if you're a black belt, Six Sigma or so on, they talk about total quality management, TQM. I mean, it's something we did in MBA classes, and we had some people who were Six Sigma black belts. And so Kaizen is one of the philosophies. Your company should always be focusing on continuous improvement. So if you have a 70% customer satisfaction rate, you want to improve that. If you have a 99% customer satisfaction rate, you still want to have incremental improvement. And the main reason Kaizen actually was set up was that I knew I was going to be traveling a lot, especially with a new assignment coming up with an investment company called RMP Group. And I did not want her to have to ask anybody to get time off to travel with me. I just felt it would be unfair for me to get to see the world and she is stuck in a cubicle somewhere. Aww. So I said, let's set up a company, and I will have you can be the chief creative officer. You can basically run the show. I can get you some clients. I can help with the clients that want the kind of services I can offer. You can do the other stuff, custom Facebook pages, helping them with Facebook campaigns, graphic design, newsletter templates, banner advertising. So she's done work with Do Good Jamaica that recently launched. She designed the Made in Jamaica catalog. So Kaizen has been doing some interesting work, and I didn't have anything to do with some of this work, so I felt good. But it really was, I didn't want my wife to have to ask anybody for time off. If we wanted to fly somewhere, I mean, we were in Washington, D.C. the other day for a week, and she was able to come, yes. and I felt good about that. But she wasn't entrepreneurial. She's a graphic designer and so on. I had to give her some books to read. Now she reads the books and recommends books to me as well. And it was interesting to see the change in mindset, and say, wow, this is really an interesting opportunity. Yes. And she still gets to leverage her degree, and we get to work together as a great team. But the spark that really made me realize that she could achieve at this was that when my brother and I, we sponsored Reggae Sumfest for a few years, and one year we were their digital media partner. And in our genius idea, this was about 2005, we wanted to reach out to everybody that was going to be backstage, the BETs and so on. We want Realvibes to get in their face. So my genius idea was to print a magazine, a mini magazine. We're going to feature some of the artists, some interviews from Realvibes, and give that magazine away. And because she could design the magazine, because we had done one before, it would cost us $1,000 to print the number of copies that we wanted. And we're, man, we need to go and find $1,000 to spend on this thing, separate from everything else. And in her naive way, she was like, why would you spend $1,000? You could do a digital magazine. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, you could put it on a CD, and we could. And I was like, what? I was like, well, how? I don't know how to do that, and I can't teach myself to do that. She's like, I just did a class in that last semester. I have the software, I can do it. Okay, so instead of $1,000 for 1,000 magazines, we were able to spend, $50 to burn 150 CDs. We then called, Code Red, Master Lee, said, hey, we'll give you a free bonus CD with new music on it. So we had 2 CDs. One was a magazine with some videos and so on. One was a mix CD. Put it in a nice little CD case. My wife designed the cover, and we cut it out, made our own CD, and we gave it out. And so when we gave out the first one at Sumfest, somebody representing Lime came over and said, oh, this is really interesting. You guys are so brilliant. This is smart because you're a digital company, and you gave us a digital magazine. And I just sat there and just said, actually, my wife was the one that came up with the idea. I said, if she could do that, unknowingly do that for our company, imagine what she could do for some other people,
Tell us the key things in using social media, social network as a part of your business.
I would say the most important thing with social media, first of all, is to understand it's about engagement. It's about a conversation. You cannot speak at people. You need to speak with people. A lot of people think of Twitter and Facebook and so on as PR outlets. And so what they want to do is tell everybody, I now have this product, buy this, buy that. And when a lot of people are using social media, what they want to do is complain, or they want to ask you something. They want to specifically say, hey, you know, this product was really nice, or this company was really nice to me, or I had this problem, this customer service problem. So you want to focus on that. You need to observe conversation. You need to engage people. Don't shout at them, don't speak at them. And I think too many people are worrying about that. The second biggest problem is that, you know, we love numbers. So people want to say, oh, I have 100,000 Facebook likes, or, you know, I have 10,000 followers on Twitter. Well, if you have 100,000 people liking your page on Facebook, but then when you post a video, you only get 10 of them to comment, or 50 of them to comment and like it. You're only engaging the 50 people. You know, it doesn't make sense to have 100,000 people, but they're not engaged. And so too many people are focusing on the wrong metric. You know, when we talk about key performance indicators, KPIs, it's not how many likes you have, and it's not how many followers you have. It's how much engagement you have had, how many...
Enlighten us. How do you make money with YouTube?
But yeah, everybody asks us that one. And there's a book called How to Make Money with YouTube that was published.
I was about to head to that.
Yeah, it was published by McGraw-Hill
Because you contributed a
Right,
chapter.
I wrote a chapter in that book, How to Make Money with YouTube, published by McGraw-Hill Publishing, by Brad and Deborah Shep. And I explained, we did a lot of research, and they said, fine, we'll credit you with that whole chapter, put my face in there. But I really helped them with the whole book, and they said, man, you should be the co-author, but we'll talk about that another day and do another book. And so I explained to them there are a number of different ways. And the first way is not directly making money from YouTube, but using YouTube to generate revenue for your company. So the best example that I use for people is Will It Blend. There's an actual program called Will It Blend. You know, their YouTube channel is called Will It Blend. And so what they do is that they have some blenders. And it's called Blendtech is the name of the company. And the blenders sell for like 130 US, some expensive blenders. And so they wanted to show people why our blenders sell so much, cost so much. And our blades are special, but let's just show you. And so one of the most famous ones is that they took an iPhone when it first came out and said, will it blend? And they threw it in the blender and lock it and blend. I mean, they've blended Nintendo Wii's, PS3s, iPads, Blackberries, everything. And everybody keeps wondering, will it blend? And their blender destroys whatever goes into the blender. And so, you know, I mean, you're looking at 3 million views per video. This costs them $200 for the iPhone or $600. Camera equipment that they just use over and over. They built a little set, so they spent about $2,000 to build the set. And they have now been able to consistently use this for 2 years and generate sales, hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, because people are sharing this video saying, this is insane. But, you know, and then people like us go on the presentations and show everybody as well. So that's one way to make it. So use YouTube for marketing. The second option is to actually use YouTube for product placement within the marketing. So I might not have a product to sell, but I might be doing a cooking show, for example, and I can get somewhere to provide the ingredients. I can use their products in the cooking show, and they'll pay me to be featured in my show. So I can use YouTube for product placement. I make money that way. And then you have the direct way of making money from YouTube, which is actually putting a video on there, and then YouTube places advertising beside the video or overlay ads that pop up, which can be annoying sometimes. And YouTube will track that advertising around the world, try to monetize it, and then pay you a significant percentage of that money. So to make money the final way, the third way, you have to actually have a deal directly with YouTube. The first two ways, you just need a channel.
Quite a profound story from David Mullings. Tune in next time right here to The Achievers. I am Tamar McHale.
The Achievers is brought to you by
RBC Royal Bank.